Hey Comic Fam, this next video you're gonna watch was actually recorded over a month ago at San Diego Comic-Con. Oh, it's a little overdue. A lot of stuff has happened in the last month that kind of delayed it. However, one big thing that happened is the sponsor of this video, which is Key Collector Comics, the best comic book app that exists on the market. Hit the description to download it and use code TOM101 to get a free week subscription. We're back from San Diego Comic-Con.
And we had a chance to sit down with CGC's head grader, Matt Nelson.
We're here today to debunk a bunch of stuff that as comic book collectors, we've been thinking about, and we had an opportunity to discuss with a representative of the CGC, but someone very important in their ranks.
Yeah, all this backdoor cooler conversation of what's really happening behind CGC's closed doors. I mean, a lot of rumors start.
That's right.
Okay, and just things spread. And you're like, well, is that true? Is there really a Candyman under my bed? I mean, it's like, what's real and what's not? So we had asked the questions, and we got some answers.
That's right. We're going to get into this intimate conversation that we got approval to share bits and pieces from, but we're going to get to it after you hit that subscribe button. We make a lot of comic book themed content, and we want you here for the ride. Let's get into the three biggest things that we've debunked about the CGC, the Certified Guarantee Company.
So one of my main questions, and I just had to know.
This is when I knew it was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a good hour because you dug deep for these questions, my man.
I did. I was like, okay, are these slabs, are they waterproof? Like, can I dunk this thing like an Oreo?
You actually asked that.
I did. I was like, can I paddle surf with this thing? Like, how encapsulated are these books? And he had an answer for us.
So, if I was to drop a book into a pool, it will get wet.
Into it, water. Oh, yeah.
If I took a slab and threw it in the water, it's going to get wet.
Right, yeah, the water will seep into the hole. Yeah,
okay.
Like if you
So
take, because we've tested.
So it's not waterproof?
No, yeah, while we test them, we've submerged them underwater, and it takes time, but yeah, slowly the water, you come back, I don't know, hours later the next day or something, and it's all seeped into the book.
I have been told by multiple people in the industry that you can dunk a CGC book and have it be okay.
Probably
Really?
quickly, right?
Like
an Oreo?
Yeah,
Oreo?
Yeah, right.
If you're
like
just
an
Oreo
yeah,
dunking
if
comics,
right.
because you should be on a Saturday.
Right. It's like your iPhone. If you drop it in your beer, it'd be a pretty big beer glass, but you drop your CGC case or you pull it out, it's probably going to be okay.
I have dropped a cell phone in a beer glass, by the way, and that was just being dumb because I drank too much beer. But it did happen. So I can't just throw in a bag of rice?
No. This should be common sense. Don't drop your books. Don't leave them in light.
Don't drop your books.
Don't leave them in the hot car. Just don't do these things and they'll be fine.
So apparently we can't use our comic books as a flotation device.
Yes, right. If the ship is sinking and you brought your short box with you,
You're screwed.
you're screwed.
There is no hope. No hope for
They will
you.
not float. Neither will you.
Okay, we do have another thing to debunk, because I officially say that's debunked. Do not put your comic books that are sealed into a pool of water or something. But the second thing that we brought up was about grading at conventions. This was something that I brought up within the first year of me making videos, because Russ and I sat down and we're like, how are they grading comic books so quickly? If you bring a comic book to a convention, does it increase the likelihood that it's going to grade higher because they're in a shorter amount of time? I wanted to get into this, but that opened up a much larger conversation about grading that actually gave me more assurance and respect to this organization.
Yeah, like, I've heard that rumor, and I never really bought into it because I've had highs and lows. It hasn't been like everything's a winner. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. I would assume the company is going to grade its standards consistently. Obviously, there's a standard for grading and some type of scale or steps that they follow to how they grade a book and why it's assigned a certain grade that it's assigned. Okay, and it's very specific. I mean, he mentioned that. Okay, there are like over 100 plus checkpoints for a book that they can look for.
It's, the conception or misconception there is that you get better grades, either because we're grading fast, we have bad lighting, we're under pressure, or that we're just doing everybody a favor because they're paying higher prices on site, we're just going to give better grades to offset the cost. No, actually that's not true at all. We grade, our standards don't change on site at all. We have the same lighting, the same everything. So like I said, just the walls change really.
Just the walls change.
Just the walls
Debunked.
change. Yeah.
We'll call that debunked.
Debunked. Just the
Another
walls change.
debunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we try our hardest, especially on site, to be consistent. and to obviously catch, any restoration, anything like that on those books, trying to, obviously the time constraints a little tighter. I feel like we grade the same.
That's right. Well over 100 checkpoints that these graders go through. And Matt said something that really stuck. He said, grading high grade books is a science. Grading low grade books is an art.
And that hit heavy with me too, because just to clear that up, he's basically saying that high grade is easier because you just follow the steps of, okay, tick here, a tick there, whatever. That's your grade. But once you get low, you're taking multiple combinations of many, many things to get that 2.0, 2.5, 3.0, 1.8. So you have a chip corner, you have a detached centerfold, you have a staple rust with migration, and you have 5 spine ticks, you got tanning on the back cover, dust shadow. I mean, you have all these things. And he said it's like a snowflake. Okay, not each one is the same.
How many books do you guys actually think you go through in a day?
Thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah, you're doing like a minute and a half per book or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on like a modern book would be less than a minute,
Right.
A 9.8 modern wouldn't take long to grade at all. But then on the flip side, if you have like a brittle, golden age book that's missing pages full of tape and restoration, the time it takes to check all that, put the notes in and grade it, could take several minutes, could 10 minutes maybe not that, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes.
So you're just taking apart a puzzle. You're taking apart this book. Like you have a tear here, you have a chip there. I mean, you think about all the variations in a single book, and then you have to calculate that grade. And it's like almost never the same.
Right. I call them, they're like snowflakes.
Yeah.
There's literally no two vintage books that are exactly the same.
I just feel like some people have this notion that it should just be like in, out, boom, this is it. This is a 3.5, always the same.
Yeah,
It's just
no.
not.
Yeah, the high grades are more of a science, the low grades are more of an art, because you've got such an accumulation of defects, like you're saying, you can't quantify it. Like you can quantify in the 9s, you can quantify the number of stress lines or the length of a crease, but when you start factoring in stains, foxing, these things
Rust.
rust, there's like all shapes and sizes that you can't really quantify, and then on top of that you throw the pieces out and the creases and the tears and tanning and all that, and then it just it becomes an art. You're taking off for some things, you can't go higher, but cumulatively, you kind of just have to eyeball it and be like, it kind of looks like a 2.5. Like, this looks like all the other 2.5s I've ever seen or graded. You kind of, and that's the thing, is that's where all the grading, the experience comes into play.
It's like a language almost.
Yeah, you've got in your head thousands of 2.5s and maybe even hundreds of this particular copy that you've graded, or if it's Spidey 1, or, it might be like several hundred. And so you've just seen so many, them so many times and so many, all the grades, that when you see that, you're kind of like mentally quickly comparing it to all those other ones, and that's how you arrive at the grade.
Due to his vast knowledge and experience of grading probably 100,000 plus books, plus the entire team's experience, who's been there since almost the beginning, a large majority of that team, it shows you that wealth of knowledge is there, and that experience of having to grade so many 2.0s that you've seen, you're like, okay, this is like 300 2.0s I've graded in the past. Okay, it's a little bit different, but this is a 2.0. I mean, it just shows you how much it takes. So it's not always that easy. A book like that with 30 major defects that you have to count for in some type of value scale, okay, is going to then get you this 2.5, can take 5 to 10 minutes. You have a high-grade book with 1 or 2 line breaks, okay, that's like a minute. Yeah, and look, we have no ties to CGC whatsoever, okay? So we don't have to say positive or negative things, whatever. But just delivering the word, okay, from a representative there, and just watching the company in action. Sure, I think people can make mistakes. Okay, sure, stuff happens across the board, whatever. Okay, but as a whole, the company's structure and their morals are there. And they're going to try to create that same space they have back in the office, make it equivalent to a traveling space like they are at a con. The only thing different are the walls. All the equipment's the same. They even travel with the same lighting.
Same people.
So they're just trying to recreate this space that they all know how to grade in.
There's also this added layer of expertise that I didn't really think of, that you just reminded the audience of, and that is that these graders, they don't just have that checklist. They don't just have that mental list of what they have to do in that moment. They have that catalog, that back catalog of the hundreds, if not thousands of times they've seen that specific book in that grade. And that's something that makes CGC super competitive, and every year makes them that much more dangerous in this competitive market.
Yeah, and we're getting into a couple other things that's going to keep them relevant and more dangerous. Not to say that somebody can't come up as another third-party grader.
Yeah.
But they're not sitting on their laurels, and they're continually trying to bring new things to the collectible market.
We do have some news. Stay to the end of the video to chat about that. But before we do that, we got to talk about the third thing that we've debunked. And that's this paper that gets shifted inside that slab sometimes.
Yeah, why is there Kleenex in my book?
You know what I'm talking? Okay, Jeff, explain. So some people may not even know.
So there is a piece of paper that is put inside, two pieces actually, in the front and the back of the book, okay? On the
Before
interior.
it goes in the slab.
Yeah, before it goes into the inner well and then fully encapsulated into your not non-waterproof plastic capsule.
That's right.
And it's called microchamber paper. So you use that because your paper is going to give off gases. You want it in there to help absorb that stuff so your paper doesn't degrade. And it's actually really important. I didn't quite understand the severity. I figured it was really important to have, but my personal collection doesn't really have that. But the more I listen to him and really describe it, I just feel stupid for not having it in some books because I'm a golden age guy. That paper is old.
Okay, carbon paper that you put in between the pages.
Microchamber.
Microchamber paper.
Yeah.
Excuse me, the microchamber paper.
Yeah.
How important do you find that to be?
Very important. Very important. Yeah.
So do you feel like it's something you should just do in your personal collection regardless? Like,
Sure. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt. I think the purpose of microchamber papers is to absorb the acids that are inherently in the paper of comic books, because they're printed so, the early stuff was printed so poorly, and didn't think it was going to be a long-term, it's a throwaway item. So it's like full, it had acid, it had lignin, all this stuff in it. So they continue to, they off-gas over time. And so the point of the papers is to absorb that while they're in the holder.
It's true. It's true. It's interesting to think about because my thought was, it may just be there as a safety precaution, but no, it's actually recommended to be in books, whether they're in a slab or not, if it's really worth it. And in this case, when you're talking about old paper, this stuff wasn't meant to last as long as we have, carried it along in its history as collectors. I mean, this stuff was made to be read and then probably thrown out.
Yeah, so don't be lazy like me. Pop open those back tabs and just throw in some paper.
Oh my goodness. But it's fun to hear that there's a reason why it's in there. It's for good cause, and we should encourage it to be in there, and that they're working on ways to try to keep it all situated so it doesn't move at all.
This is the part where I need you to hit the like and subscribe button. All right, help us with these analytics, guys. We
need your help.
We need it.
We need it.
Support us with a simple click of a mouse.
And we got a giveaway, Jeff.
We do. If you subscribe and comment down below and comment about what you would have asked CGC, and we'll see if we can ask them for you and get back to you.
That's right.
Why not a slab? While we're talking about
from
them,
the CGC, the Certified Comic.
grading encapsulators.
That's what comic book grading company. Certified Guarantee. Why can't I ever get that right? Certified Guaranteed Company.
Let's
It's
debunk
great.
it right now. It's Certified Guarantee Company.
There you go. If you comment down below, let us know what you think about this. If you have any CGC questions, or if you just have a favorite CGC book in your collection, want to hear about it, what book is it?
This is Harley Quinn, Harley Loves Joker, #1, CGC 98 white pager.
And then we have some updates about pedigrees. You mentioned that CGC is still being competitive. They're switching up their game. Well, we have some news that we got to discuss.
Yes, so pedigree, in short, okay, we'll make it quick because really we'll do other videos to discuss that type of stuff, is a recognized collection by CGC, usually original owner, of a certain level of quality, okay, and size. And they are assigned a name by the person who finds it.
Yeah, this whole collection.
So you'll have like your Mile High, your Rockfords, your Larsons, your Pennsylvanias, your San Francisco. It goes on and on and on. So CGC has decided to separate pedigrees now with their own colored label. And they're going with the sleek black look.
That's right.
It's got the potential to look really good. I was one of the first people to have mine done. They reached out to a few of us, got mine in pretty quickly. And they're still figuring out the full design look, but it's going to look really good when it's done.
Yeah, stay tuned. We're going to be talking more about pedigree soon, and I'm excited to dive into it with more pictures and updates on how this final look's going to be.
So the black label is one thing, and this is why I feel CGC continues to stay relevant, all right, and so prominent as the #1 really company you use for encapsulating is because they're constantly pushing the boundaries and innovating. They are working on a partnership with eBay.
eBay is going to be partnering up with CGC so that there is this type of communication that you could pay to take place if you want a little extra assistance in having a grader's eyes on the item before you buy it.
Thank you for watching this video. Thank you, CGC. Thank you, Matt Nelson. And as always, geek responsibly.
Enough said. Oh, so many things happening. First is Key Collector Comics making so much stuff possible for us. Use code TOM101 to support the show and unlock all the features that are going to benefit you in your comic book collecting. Also, we have a big team up with Scout Comics, if you haven't heard, and I have my first Comic Tom exclusive coming, Gutt Ghost #1, and if you want to get your hands on a copy, and you don't want to fight for it on Scout's website, sign up to Mystery Mail Call. The link is in the bio. Every member of the community is getting one of these copies.